Hello everyone and welcome back to My Opinion. And in this preview video, we'll be looking at the side that finished third in their inaugural season the previous year, that side being the Lucknow Super Giants. I thought LSG and DC performed the best in last year's mega auction, and after a third place finish in their inaugural season, I didn't think LSG needed to do too much in the mini auction that went by a few months ago. I'll be honest, I was confused by what they did during the mini auction, and I was especially confused with the releasing of one player, and that was Jason Horder. I think whether it be for LSG or the Durban Super Giants in the SA20, he's been underutilized as a batsman, has batted at 7 most of the time when he can't bat at 6. And at times when you'd think he could work out at the end and hit a few boundaries, they've sent a few other players ahead of him, and it's been inexplicable really when you think of some players have sent ahead of him. They haven't been able to see the value that Horder offers, and I think his value as a batsman hasn't materialized as much because of the fact that he hasn't been given an opportunity in his preferred slot. And he'll go to the Rajasthan Royals now and he'll play very well because I'll use him correctly. And as a replacement, they've signed a player who is a very good player, and it's a good signing in isolation, but he's a completely different player to Jason Horder, and that is Nicholas Pooran. They got him for a lot of money, 16 crores. And after not doing too much in T20 cricket for the last year or so, at least before the auction, he went to the T10 and absolutely destroyed the bowling where he batted in the top 3. And I feel that that is his best position in T20 cricket. And if he bats in the top 3, sure, if you've got KL Rahul, Quinton de Kock, Nicholas Pooran, that maybe even is the best top 3 in the competition. But if you're looking at what it does to the batting lineup, I thought this season would be the year where Ayush Badoni bats in the top 4. You've got Marcus Stoinis at 5, and had they retained Jason Horder, that would be a very good top 6. They didn't need Nicholas Pooran. They already had very good top order players, and you'd have a season where you've maybe got Ayush Badoni batting at 5 and Marcus Stoinis at 6, and you're underutilizing those players. You'd think they can bat one position higher each. And that's why I was confused with the releasing of Jason Horder from a batting point of view. And also from a bowling point of view. Like I've mentioned quite a few times, you're looking at the bowlers in this side and thinking, well, there's some good bowlers there. You can never have too many options in this side. I think if you just go in with 5 bowlers or so, you're not really convinced, and that's why with the overs that Jason Horder can offer, I thought he was an essential player at 6 for them. They didn't use him correctly with the bat, and in this case they've removed a bowler that can bowl at least 2 or 3 overs in a game, and they've replaced him with a different type of player who can bat in the top, who bats best when he bats in the top 3 and doesn't bowl. So I don't know what they've really. It's just the fact that they've compromised their squad from the previous season, and that's something which I think will play as a disadvantage to them this season. On the bowling front, they've got a player in Mohsin Khan who had a brilliant season the last time around, and after that season you thought he'd be playing for India regularly. Unfortunately, he hasn't played any cricket since the last IPL, and will be out of this IPL for the majority of the time because of a left shoulder injury. And you've got a Mark Wood who you don't know what you're going to get for him in terms of how many games he's going to play. I, in my view, I don't think you can even play him for 4 or 5 games at a stretch, or maybe you could do that for a maximum, but certainly not even 10 games, I think, in a group stage. And he missed the entirety of the previous season already, such a precarious relationship with injury, and I feel like he's way too fragile of a bowler to be relying on for a full season in my view. And I understand maybe why they've released Dushmantha Chameera. He hasn't played cricket for a while, and after hobbling off in the T20 World Cup, he's been injured ever since. So I understand why they've released him, but I thought they'd supplement that releasing with another player, an overseas seamer that can be lethal at the top with the new ball, the role that Dushmantha Chameera played. From an Indian seamer point of view, they've got a Jaydev Unadkat who I hope plays that role. I've said this before. Ever since in 2018 he started bowling slow balls and his T20 stats have gone downhill really. In 2017, that was the last time he bowled in the low 140s in the IPL, swinging the ball up front. And he got a call up to the national side in early 2018 when they toured South Africa. So I don't know why he has changed. He has great domestic seasons, and I wish he can just bring that skill set to the IPL like we have seen before. And I think he will be their new ball threat this season, because if you're looking at the other bowlers there, Avesh Khan didn't have a great season last time, and right now I wouldn't really consider him to move the ball as much. Naveen ul Haq usually bowls slower balls, and it depends if he does play or not. They may play Mark Wood or Naveen ul Haq, but if Mark Wood doesn't play a lot of the games, then they may have to play Naveen ul Haq, who is quite a different kind of bowler. I think if you're looking through the side, like I said, you've only got Jaydev Unadkat, who can be that new ball threat up front as kind of a more of a bowler. You've got Romario Shepherd, Daniel Sams who isn't bad with the new ball, and you've got Romario Shepherd who does give runs, yes, but he can swing the ball. But of course, when you're comparing those two to the Smanta Chamera, I mean, it's just quite a bit different there. You've got Ravi Bishnoi, who I thought in the second half of the previous season didn't have his greatest season, and I thought he was very unfairly dropped after the Asia Cup performance against Pakistan, where I think 1 for 26 in his 4 overs. I thought from there he could have gone on to be the starting wrist spinner for India in White cricket, especially in T20s. And they haven't played him since. I don't understand that. I think he's a very capable bowler, and I think him, along with Krunal Pandya, who's in my view the most overhated cricketer in this competition, and with what he does with the ball, he can be a 4 overs bowler for you. And even when there was dew in the previous season, at certain points in time, he bowled as if there wasn't any dew. Especially, I remember the first game that SG played against the Gujarat Titans. So you've got 2 very good spinners there. So you've got good elements in the side, but I feel like some releasings and the replacements for those players don't really make sense, considering the roles that those other players filled. For LSG to qualify for the playoffs this season, key players will have to have great seasons, and one of those players being their captain, KL Rahul. In the last 5 seasons of the IPL, his lowest run tally has been 593 in a season, which is an unreal show of consistency. Over 109 games, if you average 48 and strike at 136 on aggregate, those are dream stats, and he was brilliant for the Punjab Kings when he was there for 4 seasons, brilliant once again the previous season for LSG, and they'll be looking for him to have at least that kind of season this time around. There's an experiment that I'd like to try with KL Rahul, and that is that, yes, he's been very good opening the batting, and I don't think they will bat him anywhere else, but I think he can be a match winner at 3 in this format. We've seen in ODIs where when he was opening, the dot ball percentage, especially it being a 10 over power play, you saw the dot ball percentage was quite a lot, and ever since he moved to number 5, he's been a brilliant commodity at number 5. And another example from a different player would be Aidan Markram in white ball cricket, where he was okay opening the batting, and especially in T20, since he shifted to number 4, he's been a force to reckon with. I believe KL Rahul can be a match winner at 3. And even with the way he goes now opening the batting in general, I feel that it isn't such a catastrophic thing, especially with the players around him. You've got Quinton de Kock, Nicholas Puran, Deepak Hooda, Ayush Badoni and Marcus Stoinis. Those 5 players like to be expansive from the get-go with what we've seen of them. So I think KL Rahul can be that player that takes things conservatively in the power play and then explodes at the death. But we've seen a few times where he has really gone gung-ho from the get-go, and especially the innings against CSK, that 98 in 2021. As a CSK fan, I enjoyed that innings greatly. And I think with a player with that kind of ability, you'd like to see the best of them being shown a lot of the time. He's been great so far opening the batting, but I just feel that dimension that we all know he has can be unlocked at number 3. And you've got expansive players around him who wouldn't mind batting in the power play. I said that Nicholas Puran's best position is in the top 3. You could even play Ayush Badoni at opening the batting and play Nicholas Puran at 4, what you could have done, but if you play Deepak Hooda at 4 and Marcus Stoinis at 5. But unfortunately, with the way they've rejigged their side, of course, there isn't as much flexibility. But I don't think they will try this out. I don't think they need to. and KL Rahul opening has still been a very good, productive run getter in the IPL, and I'm sure that will continue this time as well. Regarding the captaincy option, this has nothing to do with his batting, but I would take the captaincy off KL Rahul simply because I don't feel he's tactically that great of a captain. There aren't too many candidates in this LSG side. There are maybe two. One is Jaydev Unadkat, who leads his state side, and with how he's been going in T20 cricket for the last while, if he bowls like how he did in 2017, then he could maybe be captain in 2 or 3 seasons from now, if they really gain that trust. And even if he bowls well for one season, he's got leadership qualities. He leads his state side, and I believe he is capable of having a standout season if he reverts to what he did in 2017, and also with what he's been showing in domestic cricket. Apart from him, I think there's one other player that I'd probably give the captaincy to right now, and that is Deepak Hooda. You may think it's a long shot, but I feel he's outwardly demonstrated more leadership qualities than the other players in the squad. You've got Quinton de Kock, who captained for DSG. I wasn't impressed with his captaincy stint there or for South Africa. I haven't been too impressed with KL Rahul's captaincy either. And Nicholas Puran for the West Indies didn't do too much as captain. So you've got 3 players who are brilliant batsmen, but you wouldn't put them as captaincy options. And it may be a mantle to take up, but I feel like Deepak Hooda has got the confidence of being an India player, a good season the last time around, and this would be a good challenge for him to take up. So I would actually make that change right now. It may be putting extra pressure on a player, but I feel like from a tactical perspective, if you let the great batsmen score their runs, you give the captaincy role to the most tactically astute player, or the player that demonstrates the leadership qualities required, and I believe Deepak Hooda can be that player. He had a good season last time, like I said, and of course they'll be looking for him as another key player to have a great season once again. And now on Quinton de Kock. Over 500 runs the previous season, including an unbeaten 140. He was in good form in the SA20, and the one thing I didn't get was that he experimented with his batting position with him being captain. I understand as a player you may be looking to unlock a certain side of yourself or a different dimension, and he did score a 50 at number 3. But he batted at 5 one game and got out for a golden duck. And since he isn't captain for this franchise, he will probably have to bat at the top of the order, where I think that is his best position. He formed a great opening partnership alongside KL Rahul the previous season, and I think he forms a great foil where he goes aggressively in the power play, whereas KL Rahul goes conservatively. And after the power play, his strike rate usually plateaus, but it doesn't go below that 140 mark too often. And at times, he just keeps on going and can win you a game. So he's a great player to have in your side, and I'm sure he will keep wickets as well. And we'll be looking for him and KL Rahul to have great seasons alongside Nicholas Puran as well, who I think should bat number 3 in the side. And that top 3 is looking very exciting. I know it probably doesn't do great for the rest of the players in the top 6 that top 3 has been formed, but in isolation, if you're looking at those 3 players, I do believe that is the best top 3 in this competition. Regarding their 11, I've gone for KL Rahul and Quinton de Kock opening the batting, with Nicholas Puran batting at 3. I hope they bat Puran at 3, because when they bought him on auction day, someone from the franchise said that they bought him as a finisher, and I thought they wouldn't be utilising him in his best position. And I've got Deepak Hooda to bat at 4, and I'm not happy with Ayush Baldoni batting at 5, but with the last 3 out of the top 6, you've got at least 2 of those who will be batting one position lower than where they'd like to be batting. And in this case, it's Ayush Baldoni at 5 and Marcus Stoinis at 6. I've got Krunal Pandya at number 7, Jaydev Unadkat at number 8, Avesh Khan at 9, Ravi Bishnoi 10, and Mark Wood, if he is fit, at number 11. And in terms of the impact player, they could play someone like a Karan Sharma, who I think is a batting all-rounder. And they are a bit light on Indian batting. They've only got Manan Vora. I think if you're looking at the Indian batsmen, they've only, in terms of 2 pure batsmen, they've only got KL Rahul and Manan Vora. And with Deepak Hooda and Ayush Baldoni starting, then you'd think there is no wiggle room in the middle order unless you bring someone like a Karan Sharma in as an impact substitution. And they've got a few options with the ball. They've got Yash Thakur as well, so he could be handy. but they've not got too much to play with. So I feel like this starting 11 for LSG is going to have to do something. Maybe for batting depth, they could bring in someone like a Karan Sharma and swap them out for another bowler. But I feel like the top three is going to have to be worth its weight in gold because they have disrupted the back three out of the top six. And the bowlers are going to have to deliver. I think without someone like Dushmanta Chameera, if Mark Wood isn't fit, then you'll find that also with Jason Holder not providing those additional overs, then you'll find that they may struggle in the bowling department. And the spinners will be key, of course, in Ravi Bishnoi and Krunal Pandya. So I don't really think they will qualify this year, LSG. I thought that they had a great squad the previous season, and a few changes after that point have kind of jeopardized them a bit going into this season, but let's see what they do. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share this video with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?